Howdy, it's Jim Murado, and we're actually in Kentucky. We're about to cross over the U.S. Grant Bridge here in just a moment and go into Portsmouth, Ohio. This is July 2021, and I believe this was my first time really going into Portsmouth, Ohio. But I left the camera running and thought I would just look up some information about the town. And first off, about the U.S. Grant Bridge, I was checking that out on Wikipedia, and it's the name of two bridges that carry and have carried traffic on U.S. Route 23 between Portsmouth, Ohio, and South Portsmouth, Kentucky, across the Ohio River. And it says the original suspension bridge was closed and demolished in 2001, and the replacement bridge opened October 16th, 2006. And it looks like there's some interesting history here with this bridge and little controversy when it was reconstructed. It mentions contracts for the new U.S. Grant Bridge were given in the spring of 2001. Construction was expected to be completed in June 2004, but work fell behind schedule due to inclement weather, unusual flooding of the Ohio River, and the partial sinking of a floating construction barge, which carried one of the cranes used to work on the center span of the bridge. Look, yeah, it actually looks like there was some controversy with the company that was hired to complete it. They basically had to redesign what they were working on and kind of start over. So that's interesting. It is a very attractive bridge, though, as you can see. Yeah, so we actually were heading over to West Virginia to see some other stuff. And as I was kind of Google mapping around and looking at our trip, I realized we could swing through this town and check it out. Yeah, we ended up, I found that there's Lofts Coffee, or Coffee at the Lofts. You know, I love a good independent coffee shop. And we stopped there. In fact, we'll be stopping there here in just a moment. But I liked it so much, I have put up, or I'll put up another video of that place. It's a gorgeous coffee shop, and they really, really know what they're doing. I had a very good cup of coffee there. Definitely a 10 coffee. It was great. And my wife had a tea drink, and she's gotten really particular about the things she drinks, and she's very picky. And she really said they nailed it. Yeah, we just sat there for a little bit. Just a nice little coffee shop. If you're in Portsmouth, check out the Lofts Coffee. Very classy, very nice place. Very cozy, friendly staff. It hit all the marks for a really perfect coffee shop. I like a cozy coffee shop. My wife likes something super clean and nice and modern. We both liked it a lot, so I wanted to mention them real quick. And just to give you some facts about it as we're driving around. Wikipedia is generally a very good source of information, especially about towns like this. Population as of 2010 was a little over 20,000. 88th biggest city in Ohio. And on some of the history that I found interesting, the Ohio State Legislature passed black laws in 1804 that restricted movement of free blacks and required persons to carry papers in an effort to dissuade blacks from settling in the state. These provisions were intermittently enforced by local governments and law enforcement, and sometimes used as an excuse to enforce African Americans out of settlements. In 1831, Portsmouth drove out African Americans from the city under the pretext. Many settled several miles north of what became known as Houston's Hollow. Its residents provided aid to refugee slaves in the following years and assisted them in moving north. Although southern Ohio was dominated in number by anti-abolitionist settlers from the south, some whites also worked to improve conditions for blacks and aid refugee slaves. Portsmouth became important in the antebellum years as part of the Underground Railroad. I just thought that was interesting. I thought I would make a note of that. Oh yeah, and just so you know, we just drove to the Lofts. We're pulling out of the parking lot now, but I just thought I would, eh, make a quick note of that. It looks like there's the Lofts apartments right beside the coffee place. What a cool place that would be to live. And reading on, it looks like the town had a much, it kind of ballooned population-wise, I believe during World War I with industry and that sort of thing, which of course has not kept up in modern times. And as I read a little more, Portsmouth has been a regular stop for recent presidential campaigns of the 21st century. September 2004, George W. Bush visited the city as part of his re-election campaign. Vice presidential candidate John Edwards also visited that month. The campaigns of 2008 resulted in numerous candidates and surrogates visiting Portsmouth, and some spoke at Shawnee State University. Bill Clinton on behalf of his wife Hillary Clinton, Republican candidate John McCain, and U.S. Senator Barack Obama, who won the election. In 2012, candidate Mitt Romney spoke at Shawnee State University. In March 2016, Bill Clinton visited again to campaign for his wife, Hillary Clinton. Also, just again going back to the Lofts coffee shop, they actually have photos of Bill Clinton inside of their coffee shop, chatting with people. I know he came through Lexington, Kentucky. I know he stopped down at Cheapside. A buddy of mine shook his hand. And I know he also stopped by the Crim Coffee Shop in Owensboro, Kentucky, a couple of my favorite hangouts. There is a long section on Wikipedia about the opioid epidemic in the area, which has hit eastern Kentucky, parts of Ohio, West Virginia, Ohio, that whole Appalachian area pretty hard. You can read up on that if you want, and it's definitely a downer. I've talked about it and heard about it a lot myself, and it's there. You can look it up if you want, and it definitely is a part. It's something notable, but it looks like there are several efforts to try to prop the city back up and to make improvements. However, as I'm reading Wikipedia, in 2014, Portsmouth was one of 350 cities to enter a submission in the America's Best Communities competition, hoping to win a $3 million first place prize. In April 2015, it was chosen as one of 50 quarterfinalists, winning $50,000 to help prepare a community revitalization plan. And in January 2016, Portsmouth Plan, which emphasized using its most valuable asset, the Ohio River, earned it one of 15 spots in the competition's semifinals. April of 2016, Portsmouth was one of 7 cities eliminated at the semifinal round, but received an additional $25,000 for use in continuing to develop its plans to improve commercial and community access to the riverfront by making the port a premier regional destination for industrial development, small business development, and recreation. And in 2020, the National Civic League named it as an All-American city, along with 9 other cities. So that's interesting. I think it's a very pretty town as I look at it for sure. As I keep reading, Portsmouth is the home of Shawnee State University, a public institution established in 1986. That is new for a college. Oh yeah, it's Ohio's 13th and newest institution of higher education. Yeah, I honestly didn't know colleges were still starting up like that. I guess the public ones, that kind of makes sense. I remember when Owensboro got its community college, and that was just interesting. Also, a couple of other things to note. The Indian Head Rock is an 8-ton sandstone boulder which until 2007 rested at the bottom of the Ohio River. I do remember hearing about this. And it was used to record low river stages. And, it's just kind of a well-known rock. Where was it? It was basically submerged forever for a while, and it was eventually brought up, and there was a bit of a controversy between Ohio and Kentucky to see who owned it, and the rock is currently on display in Kentucky. I'm going to have to check that out. I believe it's in a park. But that's, yeah, Indian Head Rock. They have some flood walls and paintings there. Another reason to go. Jim Thorpe spent time here. A Civil War unit from Portsmouth fought at Gettysburg. Oh, and there are also some mound works in Portsmouth I've got to check out next time I'm here. I definitely have to go back. Branch Rickey signed, famous name in baseball. He signed Jackie Robinson to the Brooklyn Dodgers. That's a big deal. Roy Rogers is from here. Okay, I did not know that. Also, there was something about sports. Yeah, professional sports. Portsmouth had a series of semi-pro football teams in the 20s and 30s. Most notably, the Portsmouth Shoe Steels, and Jim Thorpe was a player coach on that team. They also had the Portsmouth Spartans, which joined the NFL in 1930. The Spartans competed in the first professional football night game against the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1930. Despite their success, the team could not survive the NFL's second smallest city during the Great Depression, and it was sold and moved to Detroit, where it became the Detroit Lions. It's kind of a big deal. In the 20th century, the Portsmouth Explorers were one of the original teams in the Frontier League, a non-affiliated minor league baseball organization. They played in the league's first 3 seasons from 93 to 95. And I've always been a fan of the Frontier League. I know there's the Washington Wild Things, and here in Kentucky we have the Florence Y'alls, formerly the Florence Freedom. That's a very well-established independent baseball league, and I like what they've done. I like what they do. It's professional baseball, but it's still got a lot of heart. Something I like about low-level professional sports, you're going to see mistakes. You know, those guys are hungry. They're trying to prove themselves. I think once you get to a higher level, you watch a Major League Baseball game, those guys are so polished, sometimes the play can be boring. That's just my opinion. But I love the Frontier League, and I've seen some great action on the field at Frontier League games. It was also home to the Portsmouth Redbirds, a minor league team owned by the Cardinals. So that, just a couple of interesting notes there. I've definitely got to go back to Portsmouth. I missed some stuff. If you live in Portsmouth, let me know what's going on there. Let me know what other historic things I missed. Yeah, just a neat little town. The coffee shop alone, my wife and I loved. And we'll be going back just to hang out there. Obviously got to see those mounds, too.